When I heard the news that Best Buy was going to be getting rid of physical media sales last year, it inspired me to get into physical media collecting. Over the years, I have collected many different things, from books to comics to even video games. At the beginning, it was mostly for the sake of collecting something I thought was worth some value or importance to the industry of a medium. This year is Keith Courage and Alpha Stone, the original pack-in game for the TurboGrafx 16, obscure gaming console that holds some of the most beloved games of the era. Keith is not one of those, unfortunately. However, as my hobbies expanded, I began collecting largely to experience the works. This was the thought process behind my purchase of Akira and Watchmen. But even later, my mission began to shift away from buying simply to experience a product. Instead, it began shifting towards preservation. I believe that with many factors occurring around the world right now, that the preservation of media could become less important to the general public. However, I believe that preserving art is important, which is why I've dedicated much to preserving film over the last little bit. But it's definitely a lot. For those of you wondering where I got all of this stuff from, it's just kind of all over the place. It's been, mostly it's been through thrift stores. Where I live, there is a thrift store underneath a Protestant church, so I usually go there a lot to pick up titles. It's kind of limited though, since this place is, kind of limited in terms of population, so there's not a whole lot of stuff there. I also go to like HMV and Value Village, and there's also this place in a city nearby that I go to that was selling a bunch of movies for a while. I haven't been there in years, so that's definitely one thing I need to look into it. As you can, here's all the titles closed up. I also been going to garage sales as well. I really started collecting around late 2023, but I did have some films earlier than that. As you can see, here there are some records down there as well, and that as well. So if you're looking for movies and that, I'd recommend you go to like just that whole area. Here's some other stuff too. I think I got the Hugo one from A Giant Tiger. Conan, the Dark Crystal, that was a Christmas present. Labyrinth, I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but that's Edge of Tomorrow with the small text. As for Labyrinth, I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I got it because, doesn't hurt to have it. I think Mad Max I got for cheap. Not a big fan of Mad Max, but, doesn't hurt to have it. I don't know how I got Army of Darkness. Got iRobot 7, Traffic. Well, I don't know what that one is. I think that's part of a collection I had. I also got Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know where I got that from. That's all the way at the bottom there. And I got some stuff here too. Some of this stuff I also pick up from collections and that. Here are some games I picked up. I think I picked up these games. I remember I picked up a bunch of games. Those 2 PlayStation games at the top and that GameCube game. That's Mario Kart Double Dash. I think I picked those games up after... Oh man. Okay. Alright. Yeah, and this is Tokyo Drift. I think I picked that game up after something happened in my personal life. I don't want to get into it, but let's just say I didn't find it particularly fair, But yeah, I ended up picking those 2 games up at a garage sale. The lady was offering 50 cents for them each, so I don't know. Like, all those three of those games were cheap. And then this guy who lived in town, his wife was... I don't know what his deal was, but like he was selling a bunch of video games. He's like, oh, he had a kid and everything. He's, oh, I'm a man now and I don't need any of these games. And then it's like, he was selling them at like $2 or something. So I ended up picking 20, and it's like, you could have gone online and bought them for even more. Like, there's a ton of games here. Like, there's Gears of War and Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and I think Devil May Cry or something. Yeah, and just a bunch of stuff. Onimusha 2. Like, this guy had a lot of stuff, and you know what? He's just throwing it out in the sun for it to like burn off. Like, that's so. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's not good. Like, here's some other stuff I picked up. 2012. I always kind of like this movie. I like the destruction scenes in that. The Lost Boys, not a bad film. Inception, I haven't seen it yet. A lot of these films I haven't seen, but like, I just collect them because, I feel like they're important, or like they're good movies in that. This is Mission Hill. I watched like 2 episodes of it online. It's pretty popular series. I like how it looks. And here is Lord of the Rings. I watched the whole trilogy, and I think the first Hobbit movie. I liked it when I was like 14 or something, 14, 15. I liked it. I liked the original trilogy. I didn't like the Hobbit. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I just felt the Hobbit was just... like, it wasn't bad or anything. It just didn't pique my interest. Anyway, that's my collection. Part of the reason for my endeavor is that movies are either not available online or are being changed online. One expression I've heard over the years is that nothing ever really disappears on the internet. Back in the day, I used to believe in such a saying. With so many websites and ways people could record others, it seems like nothing was ever able to disappear. However, today, this statement seems more ironic. Videos, sites, and other media disappear all the time now, with often little regard to their preservation. There are many examples of such, from sites collapsing, deleting many accounts, to video games being lost in time with the only hope for survival being emulation. One such egregious examples of this are movies. Over the years, movie studios have shifted many of their libraries to the digital space, with streaming becoming a major part of many studios' business strategy. However, in this environment, studios now have more power over their properties than ever, and have become much more bullish on abusing such. Movies which are considered iconic have disappeared from the internet, and for those that remain, they have become the subject of alterations by studios for various purposes. It is for these reasons and many others that I have decided to start collecting the physical releases of movies. With these releases, I am able to watch these films mostly in their original forms without having the studios remove these films or change them on a whim without warning. I can have better access to films that have not been available on many streaming platforms such as Pan's Labyrinth. I also have access to these films in case the company owns that film goes under. Then the works that they have end up in some legal limbo. As an example, the video game series No One Lives Forever is currently tangled up with its rights being split among entities including Disney, Warner Brothers, and Microsoft. With this being the case, there's another reason why I'm buying films. The reason being as a sort of archival, not just for the reasons that I outlined earlier, but with other aspects as well. With the way the climate and the world is going, I could see in the mass disappearance of films from this era in history, similar to how most silent films are now lost forever. It is in this era of uncertainty where the future could bring any outcome that I decided to at least preserve some of the works so to make sure that one day someone could see them and record them for future generations to see. It is not much now, but it is at least a start. Anyway, that is the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.